Welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. I'm here for unboxing of Cryptozoic's latest releases for their DC deck building game. They've had two recently. There's the Arrow Crossover Pack 2, as well as the DC deck building game Teen Titans main box. We're going to do the Arrow first, and we're going to do another video for the actual Teen Titans. So, you know, if you don't want to watch it for the Arrow one, you can just skip over to the other video with Teen Titans. So for those who don't know what the deck building game is, deck building game is unlike Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or some of the other games out there, where you go and you build your deck beforehand and then you kind of duke it out with the other players. A deck building game is you build the deck as you go. So in other words, you are using points to buy cards to improve your deck. So now there's a whole bunch of different versions of the DC deck building game. Teen Titans is the latest one. There's one based off of Forever Evil. There's one called Heroes Unite, which has some like Nightwing and Batgirl, I think, is in that one. There is a main game that's just the DC deck building game, and then they have a two-player version. There's also some expansions like this crossover pack, which allows you to have different cards to play. So this one's based off of Arrow, the television show, the really popular television show that's on CW. Basically, it gives you more cards to add to your game. Contents is 5 oversized Arrow superheroes, 8 supervillains, 14 main deck cards, and 1 rule card. The pack allows you to change up your competitive DC Comics deck building game with minimal effort by simply replacing the superheroes and supervillains from your favorite DC Comics decks game set. You can dynamically change the game in mere seconds. With new Arrow superhero cards, new strategies and ways of playing will open up to you. Typically, players should all use superheroes from the same set when playing against each other, but after a while you might relax that rule. With the few new main deck cards, each of the playable superheroes will be able to find a card or two that fits right in with their strategy, a little token to bring more Arrow flavor to your play experience. New supervillains will add new dangers to the always painful and unpredictable first appearance attacks. If you can avoid doing so, don't read the supervillains ahead of time, but make sure they are in cost order from 8 to 15. You may have noticed that one of them has a blue back card. That means it's always the final supervillain you will face. So this unboxing is going to be a little bit spoilery. So if you really don't want to find out about those villains, if you don't want to check out the heroes, you're probably going to not want to watch this video. But if you don't mind about that, we're going to go over all of it and show some things off. And let's start with the cards to add before we get to the actual heroes themselves. So let's go through equipment. We've got 3 new equipment cards. Explosive Arrow, Arrow's Bow, and Collapsible Staff. Not too shocking, considering it's all based off of Arrow. Explosive Arrow gives you +1 power and choose a foe. Your attack, you can destroy a card under that foe's superhero and then put this card under your superhero. Arrow's Bow, you may put a random card under your superhero into your hand. If you choose not to, +2 power. And Collapsible Staff, draw a card, gain all villains in the lineup, and then put them under your superhero. So getting to that, this is a new mechanic for the game, the putting things under your superhero. Several cards in this pack will place cards under your superhero. They represent the secrets that the characters keep from each other. You may look at the cards under your superhero, but not at the cards under another player's superhero unless a card says otherwise. At the end of the game, do not count the VPs of cards under your superhero. There are some clarifications in there, including some spoilers. We're not going to read that, though, because that's going to get a little boring. We have a whole bunch of new heroes, not too shocking. All based off of the show. We've got Laurel Lance, Moira Queen, Shadow, and then Detective Lance. Laurel gives you may put a card from your hand under your superhero. If you choose not to, you may put a card under your superhero from under your superhero into your hand. Moira Queen, put the top card of the main deck under your superhero. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 VP for each different card under your superhero. We also have Shadow is +1 power and draw card defense. You may put this card under your superhero to avoid an attack. If you do, draw 2 cards. You may put a card from your hand under your superhero. Detective Lance, name a card and then look under any one foe's superhero. Gain a card with that name from under that superhero. +3 power also gives you. Next we've got Verdant. It's a location. It's ongoing at the start of each of your turns. You may put a card from your hand under your superhero. If you do, draw a card. Promise to a Friend. We have a couple superpowers. Let's go through the superpowers. We have 3 total. We have Promise to a Fan, Mirakuru, and You Have Failed the City. Promise to a Friend, ongoing. It's +1 power, and you may not destroy cards during your turn. The Mirakuru is, if this is the first card you play this turn, you may put it and your hand under your superhero. If you do, draw 4 cards. Otherwise, draw a card. You Have Failed the City, +2 power, and choose a foe. Attack the chosen foe, discards a random card. So that's a pretty cool one. And now we've got a whole bunch of villains. We'll leave the super villains last. Just regular villains. We've got Mr. Blank, Huntress, and Bronze Tiger. Mr. Blank, you get +2 power and choose a foe. Attack, look at the hero cards under that foe's superhero, and put one of them under your superhero. Huntress is +2 power. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard via a pile for each villain you buy or gain this turn. And then Bronze Tiger, +2 power. Attack, each foe reveals a card from his hand and puts it under his superhero. If one or more foes do not reveal a card with cost 1 or greater, you draw 2 cards. And then we have the supervillains that you will be taking on. You're supposed to do in kind of rising order of attack. We have Edward Fires. Ongoing. So his ongoing is first time a card tells you to draw 1 or more cards during each of your turns. You may put one of the cards drawn this way under your superhero. We have China White. +3 power, and you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. First appearance attack. Each player reveals the top card of the main deck and puts it under his superhero. If it's not a hero, discard a random card. Next we have Deadshot. Of course you've got Deadshot. +3 power. Your next attack this turn must be avoided twice. First appearance attack. Each player reveals the top card of the main deck and puts it under his superhero. If it's not a villain, destroy a card with cost 3 or less in your hand or discard pile. We have Count Vertigo. Kind of an underused character in the first season, or the series in general, I mean. Draw 3 cards and then put one of them under your superhero. First appearance attack, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one of them under your superhero and put the other under the superhero of the player on your left. We have Malcolm Merlin. How is Malcolm Merlin not the main foe? +3 power defense. You may reveal this card from your hand and avoid an attack. First appearance attack, each player reveals the top card of the main deck and puts it under his superhero. If it's not an equipment, discard a card and gain a weakness. Brother Blood. +4 power and draw a card. First appearance attack, each player reveals the top card of the main deck and puts it under his superhero. If it's not a superpower, discard all cards with cost 4 or greater. We have Isabel Rochev. Choose a player, gain a card from under that player's superhero, and then put it in your hand. First appearance attack, each player puts the highest cost card from his hand under his superhero. And then finally, Slade Wilson. It makes sense, is the main one. First appearance attack, this attack cannot be avoided. Each player destroys 6 cards with different card types under his superhero. For each card type you fail to destroy this way, discard a card. So overall, the set's interesting. You know, there's this new dynamic of putting cards under your characters. I think that's kind of fascinating so far. Let's see if it actually plays off of any of the superheroes you can play. Of course, if the set's called Arrow, you got to be able to play as Oliver Queen. His ability is at the start of each of your turns, you may discard a card from your hand. If it's an equipment, you may put it under your superhero. If it's not, put a random card from under your superhero into your hand. Roy Harper. Of course, Roy is a character. Once during each of your turns, you may put a superpower from your lineup under your superhero. At the start of each of your turns, if there are 4 more cards under your superhero plus 2 power, you must destroy 4 cards under your superhero. Felicity. I've got a crush on Felicity. Oh, and I dropped Felicity. You play. If you play 2 or more heroes during your turn, you may not. You may put the top card of the main deck under your superhero, or put a card from under your superhero into your hand. John Diggle. When you use defense to avoid an attack, you may put that card under your superhero. Once during each of your turns, you may put a defense card from under your superhero on top of your deck. And finally, we've got Sarah Lance. When you buy or gain a villain from the lineup, you may put it under your superhero. Once during each of your turns, you may put a villain from under your superhero on the bottom of your deck. It's interesting. So, you know, there's obviously all the characters play off of this whole, or the main heroes that you can play off of this cycling of cards under your superhero. It's definitely a new aspect. It's a fascinating aspect. It's one I'm definitely going to have to really play out to get a good sense of before coming down one way or another. Nothing else, you gotta like the crossover packs in that they open up new plays and new possibilities for the game. And obviously, if you're a fan of Arrow, I think you're probably gonna have to get this one. You know, obviously, you're gonna want to play with the characters you like. I do like that it uses photos from the television show. The main game does a lot of art from DC Comics, or all the art is from DC Comics. So to get some live action photos from television show is a cool way to mix it up. I think that's pretty neat. But overall, you know, it's a fine addition to the main game. You know, I haven't played it yet, so I can't really judge of how much it changes up the game. It definitely seems like it's going to be some new, interesting strategies, but we'll wait and see. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do another video opening up the Teen Titans deck building game itself, and we'll go from there. This is Graphic Policy Television GPTV going over the went over the DC deck building Arrow expansion. Thanks for watching. You can catch us every single day at graphicpolicy.com. Of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, all at Graphic Policy. We keep it nice and consistent. Till next time, keep rolling those die and keep it geeky.